Welcome to another edition of From Beyond Champaign. I'm Cody. You can follow me on all the socials at Cody_CHGO. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday morning from my apartment on a day where we're calling for like 8 inches of snow. So gonna enjoy a nice little work from home day here and enjoy the vibes that is with Illinois basketball, because there hasn't been a lot of good vibes over the last month. So I'm going to savor the good vibes for right now. Still a lot to do, still a lot to prove, still a lot to, still a lot to do in terms of, maybe changing my opinion on a lot of things with this team. But overall, a really good win last night for Illinois against UCLA. They win 83-78 in Skyy Clark's return. Kofi Cockburn getting the jersey put in the rafters, or honored, however you want to call it these days. And I felt like you felt like you watched a real like Big Ten type, like, I don't want to say Big Ten tournament game, but you just felt like with the energy in the building last night, the crowd was going to do everything they could to help Illinois win this game. And Illinois, in my opinion, I never really was worried until the final 3 minutes of the game. I thought they played great for 36 minutes outside of, their turnover problems they continue to have because they're young and they're continuing to work on continuity and, chemistry, all these things playing together, right? I am, in general, feeling a lot better, though, than I did, you could say, a week and a half ago, right? So there's a lot to talk about here. So before I really jump into it, hit the like button on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're new here. Subscribe or tell a friend and tell them to subscribe. We're trucking along here. We're hitting the most fun time of college basketball season. The NFL season is over. All that people are paying attention to right now are college hoops, and I guess the NBA, and then spring training is starting, right? But the biggest, most exciting games that you will see throughout the week up until mid to late March are college hoops. All right. So we are in peak college hoops aura right now, I guess you could say, in a way. So send my name to some Illini fans you might know if they're looking for someone new or just another talking head, because there's plenty of us out there. And I don't know. I try to keep it optimistic. I try to be real about it when I'm pissed off at this team, when I'm pissed off at our fan base, when I'm pissed off at Brad Underwood. But overall, I'm always going to keep it real with y'all. And so that's my spiel. Once again, hit that like button, and the links to Apple, Spotify, podcast platforms as well, if you want to listen to the audio version, are in the description. So, all right. Again, Illinois wins 83-78. I think this was yet again a reminder of what this team can be when they're A, healthy, B, when you get at least two of the top three players on this team going at the same time, right? Kasparas Jakucionis and Tomislav Ivisic. Kasparas, 24 points. Tommy had 16. Tommy made 4 threes. They were the reason they won this game. Will Riley even contributed 10 points. It wasn't some insane 27-point game that he had the other day against Minnesota, but I think if Will Riley can just give you double-digit scoring off the bench, it's a huge lift. And even Kylan Boswell had a good second half. He was pretty quiet in the first half, but 11 points in the second half to go with his 4 rebounds and 2 assists. The team had 14 turnovers. Kylan only had 2. Kasparas, of course, the turnover problems continue with him with 5, and Tommy had 4 as well. So I think we just have to start with Kasparas and Tommy. Would love to know you guys' thoughts on Tommy and Kasparas in this game and just in general these last 2 games, because it seems like Kasparas has answered the call. I said they got to get him right. I said they got to get him going downhill, going to the basket. They need to get him stop shooting these step-back threes, right? And that's what they have done. Now, did he still take some step-back threes yesterday? Yes, he actually made a few of them, right? Kasparas went 3 of 8 from the 3-point line. I believe one of those was a step back three. But overall, I felt like he took good shots. There were some shots taken late by this team that I didn't like, and maybe that's why it led to, that big run that UCLA went on. But yeah, I feel pretty confident that Kasparas is back, right? And they needed Kasparas to get back to this form. This team is good without him. Like, they can compete with anyone in the Big Ten without him. But when you talk about ceilings or potential, I said ceiling way too much with this team in this potential year, or in this year. So let's just use potential for a while. The potential for this team is so much higher when Kasparas Jakucionis is right? But on the other end, this team is so much better when Ivisic is out there making really good passing plays and being a force rebounding. And his 3-point shooting is a huge factor for this team. He's like the second or third best 3-point shooter on this team, right? Tommy, I give him a lot of credit, man. This guy got mono and then rolled an ankle in like his first game back. And then he played the next game. And he's played well. He played it well again last night. So maybe the ankle isn't as bad as we all thought. If I go back and watch that highlight, I'm like, man, someone needs to donate an ankle, or this guy's going to miss a game or two. He hasn't missed a game, and he's balling, dude. The narrative behind him not being able to play in the Big Ten early on back in January has quickly shifted. This guy's a major piece for Illinois and their success. There is no doubt about it. I don't think they will win in March if they do not have him. I think it's weird because I feel like maybe given a certain matchup, maybe a lower seed of sorts, I feel like maybe they could beat a team without Kasparas. Maybe. But I don't think that they can win a game in March in the NCAA tournament without Tommy. So his health is crucial. The potential for this team is crucial. And just his playmaking ability, his ability to hit shots when he's open, his ability to even go down into the paint and just be a little crafty down there, hit that jump hook. He does a little turnaround jumper sometimes, and he can make it. Yeah, like he was very efficient last night. Again, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, on 5 of 8 from the field. Maybe you can argue he should have taken more shots, right? I don't know, but I'm pointing out how important Tommy is for this team, and I just think all of that on the offensive end, on top of his defensive presence, because he's tall, 7 feet tall, right? Is he the X factor? I don't know if I can call a top 3 player on the team an X factor, but like I think it's going to be tough for this team to really hit that stride of like we can go and beat anyone we want on any given night if he doesn't play well or if he isn't a major factor in the game, right? So that's all I'm saying. I still think Kasparas is the best player on the team, and I still think that this team can be in that Final Four race conversation if he is playing like he did last night, sure. But in terms of can they win a game without Tommy in the way that they have the last 2? I don't think so. I don't. And maybe we'll see if they have to do that again. I hope not. But as we can see, this team went whole like this, even though Trey White didn't play last night and Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn only played 7 minutes, Jake Davis 9 minutes. They basically went 6 deep last night, basically. When they're whole like this, they're dangerous. They're absolutely dangerous. Jay, welcome back, man. Says, what's up, Cody? Good W. Although the last 4 minutes were tough, why is it so hard to close out a game? Yeah. Let's use that to talk about the end of the game, right? So Illinois was up by 16. They were up by 16. Let me go. I'm going to go find the exact time. I want to say it was under 5 minutes to go. Yeah, so at 4:51 in the second half, Ben Humrickhouse hit a three-pointer to make it 76-60. Okay. So from then on, that's when UCLA went on that run, right? Kobe Johnson, three-pointer. Kasparas, turnover. How do you say his name? Bildo? Bildu? Tyler Bildu, who was red hot last night, by the way. He hits another three the following possession. So that's a 6-0. That's a quick 6-0 run in just a minute. Just under a minute. At the 3:32 mark, he hit that to cut it back to 10. All right. Will Riley missed jumper next time down. Keyword, missed jumper. In my opinion, they should have been going to the basket these last 4 minutes of the game. And they took some bad shots. All right. So Will Riley missed jumper. UCLA gets the rebound. Skyy Clark comes down and within 10 seconds gets an easy layup. All right. Feels like a defensive breakdown right there that you can't do at the end of the game. All right. Illinois eats 30 seconds of the clock. Tommy jacks up a three. It's one of the two he missed. All right. So after the Skyy Clark layup, before Tommy took that three, they had cut it to 8, right? UCLA gets the rebound. Luckily, Illinois forces a turnover, so that's a key mistake by UCLA in their comeback attempt. TV timeout. Then Kasparas, I believe, was one of his – it was either a really quick three or a step-back three. I didn't like that shot, but missed three-pointer. With a minute 58 to go, Skyy Clark gets it. Kobe Johnson with another three at the other end of the floor with a minute 46 left. And then the very next possession down, Kylan Boswell jacks up a three. And so you see the trend I'm talking about here. The way they almost blew this game because we're jacking up jumpers. We're jacking up three-pointers. You're in the bonus. Go to the basket. Go to the basket. They attacked the basket all night against UCLA. Why at the end of the game are we jacking up threes? Why are we jacking up jumpers? You're in the bonus. Go to the basket. You're more talented. You're more athletically gifted than this UCLA team. Sorry, I needed a sip of the coffee. Okay. So anyway, after Kylan misses that three, UCLA gets it. They come down and they get a dunk at the basket within 10 seconds. Actually, more like we'll just call it 10 seconds. They get the rebound at a minute 19. At minute 08, they get a dunk. So they waste 10 seconds off the clock, get a dunk, cut it to three. They cut it to three there. Illinois calls a timeout after they get it across half court. And then this is the moment of the game where I'm screaming, "What are we doing?" And then I'm screaming, "Thank God," after it went in. Kasparas hits that step back. It's normally a three, but his foot was on the line. That step back three, step back two in this case to make it a 78-73 game. It was a terrible possession. Looks like they were trying to get the ball. I believe they were trying to get the ball into either Humrickhouse or Ivisic. They were trying to get the ball into Ivisic. And UCLA did a good job defensively of not letting them get the ball inside. That's what it looked like off the top of my head when I'm thinking about it. So Kasparas bails them out. Thank God. These are the type of things that he can do that can put Illinois above other teams, even though they never should have been in this scenario to begin with. Because if he doesn't hit that jumper, UCLA has a chance to come down and tie the game. When you led by 16 with 4.5 minutes to go, but he made the shot. And you tip your hat to him because he is who he is, and he's going to be a top 10 draft pick in the NBA draft. So, despite that, though, UCLA in 10 seconds, they drive the basket, kick it out for a Skyy Clark 3. Of course, it's Skyy Clark who cuts the lead to 2, 78-76. UCLA calls a timeout so they can set up their defense. I don't know what Illinois was doing coming out of the timeout on the inbounds. They ran that like the 4 guys out of bounds. They once they get the ball, the ref hands on the ball, they like all kind of sprint out. I believe that's what they did. And they get the ball to Kylan, and he just starts dribbling through traffic, gets out of it, gets the ball to one of the wings near half court, and eventually makes a quick pass right back to Kylan, and he pushes it up to Tommy, who's wide open under the basket, and they get a dunk. That was probably the first play in the final 4 minutes where I'm like, thank you. Like, this was well executed. This is why you led by 16 at one point in this game. So, after that, Illinois calls timeout. UCLA comes down. Kasparas fouls a guy going to the basket. Bad foul, considering you're up 80-76 at the time. Sebastian Mack, he gets fouled going to the basket. Thank God he didn't make it. So despite how great of a game Kasparas has, he still at times has these, like, it makes you scratch your head moments. And again, he's 18. He's young, but like, we're in February, man. You can't do these things late in the game. You've got to learn at some point. It's just the fact of the matter. He should not have fouled Mack in that moment. He should not have. He should have just let him have it, get the ball, get fouled, and go shoot your free throws. But anyway, Mack makes both free throws. It's 80-78 with 11 seconds. UCLA fouls, and they foul Ben Humrickhouse after the Illinois gets the ball inbounds. Humrickhouse only makes one of the free throws, of course, but thankfully Ivisic gets the offensive rebound, and they have to foul again. And they fouled Kylan, and he made 2 free throws to, in the game, basically. So Illinois scathes by. They scathe by despite their own wreckage. And here's some Brad Underwood criticism for you guys, because I know you guys probably wish that I would criticize him a lot more. What he said in postgame about, at least the way I took it, like he said multiple times in postgame that they didn't really make a lot of mistakes at the end of the game. Sure, like maybe defensively or whatever, but I'm like thinking, like, what are you talking about, man? Like, we took too many quick shots. We took too many jumpers. You're in the bonus. Go to the basket. Kasparas bailed you out with that jumper. And honestly, it wasn't even a good shot. If he misses it, UCLA is coming down with a chance to tie it. So I know they won, and I feel in general I feel good about this game. But I did not like execution in the final 4 minutes. I did not like the shots that they took. And when this team gets jumper happy, bad things happen. And as we just went through the last 4 minutes of this game, how many times did I say that they took a 3, that they took a jumper, that they weren't going to the basket? I just have a lot of concerns with our end of game execution. We've seen it all year, man. Like Northwestern, you led by 6 with 2 minutes to go. You lost the game. And at this point, it's basically a bad loss because Northwestern is going to finish in the bottom 4 with all their injuries now. It's not going to look like a good win on their resume, even though the last time they played, I thought maybe Northwestern might be back. But they're not. They're not good, okay? So that's a game you gave away. The late game execution against Tennessee, allowing that go full court layup for Tennessee at the end of that game. That was brutal. Like that could have been done differently, probably, right? Late game execution against Michigan State, I think you can look back on and say if you'd done this or done this differently, outside of missed free throws and inability to make a goddamn three in that game. The way they played at the end against Nebraska was bad after making that comeback that they had, and then they just ran out of gas. The late game execution that game was bad too. I feel like maybe you could make the argument for more games, but there are a lot of these games where they've lost in the last month. I wouldn't say it's sorely on late game execution. It's more so on just how they play for the entire game. So this is one of the first games in a while where I feel like the late game execution almost cost them the game. They cannot do this against Michigan State on Saturday. Not after what Michigan State did yesterday against Indiana. They're going to come to the State Farm Center hungry. Illinois better come to the State Farm Center hungrier after what happened in East Lansing. So, again, they won the game. They won the game, and I'm happy about it. And it's a good win for this program. It's a good win for your tournament resume. You're 17-8. You're 9-6 in conference. Things could absolutely be worse. But the last 4 minutes of this game are reasons why people have concerns with Illinois. And I'm with you on it. I'm with you. Okay. Jay says, same problems. I hope they clean up. Bad turnovers, fouling from a shooter from behind, fouling a shooter from behind a lot. Still have problems with screens. Do you think the drop coverage at times is causing this? Yeah. What's his name for UCLA? What's his name? That Bildu? Tyler Bildu. He went 7 of 12 from 3, 25 points. It's kind of giving me what's his name for who was it that just lit them up in that game? Ohio State. Royal. Is his name Derek Royal? Or I can't remember his first name, but Royal for Ohio State. He was kind of similar. Like he killed Illinois in the pick and pop game, and Bildu did that last night. 7 of 12. Could they have adjusted differently? Could they have done something different? You'd think so, because if Brad Underwood's, plays the analytics game and wants them to not shoot as many threes as twos, then why is there no earlier adjustment on this guy who, again, went 7 of 12? I will say for the team, for the game, UCLA shot 52% from 3 and you won this game. So in many ways, you can say maybe they were just hot from 3. Off the top of my head, I don't know how well of a shooter Bildu is. I'll just look at it right now. This season, he's shooting 39% from 3. So he's a good shooter. He was great last night. 7 threes on 12 attempts. Like that's pretty impressive. So I think the drop coverage conversation, I don't know. I think it's like we always say, these in-game adjustments from Brad Underwood sometimes come a little too late. I don't know who else you trying to stop in this game, right? Kobe Johnson, okay, 14 points. Mac had a decent game off the bench for them. But there was, outside of Bildu, there was no one who was having some, who was killing them from the guard position. I feel like maybe you could have focused a little bit more energy on Bildu, especially as this game went along, and especially when he was hitting all those threes, what felt like in consecutive possessions at times, right? I don't know. What do y'all think? You let me know. Need another sip of the coffee. Jay, I feel the most confident with Tommy shooting the 3 compared to anyone on the team. Tommy is huge. He opens up driving lanes and is a good defender down low. Yeah. And it goes back to everything I said, man. I think a lot of us underrated him. And now because he's playing well, some of us will probably overrate him. But I think in general, there's a case to be made that this team is at another level when he's on the court. Doesn't mean that he's going to be scoring 20 plus points for you every night. His presence just means something. And everything Jay just said in this comment is what I'm talking about. Jay says, I need the W on Saturday, yet I hate playing a good team after they just lost. Got to bring it on Saturday. Yeah, man. I just said it. Michigan State's going to come to the State Farm Center hungry. They're going to come to State Farm Center hungry on Saturday after losing to Mike Woodson. No doubt. But I don't know how you can't be hungrier than Illinois going into this game on Saturday in Terrence Shannon Jr. Day. I don't know how you can't be hungrier. Give me a Saturday afternoon game. What time is this game on Saturday? Please tell me it's not 11 a.m. Please tell me it's not 11 a.m. It's a 7 p.m. game. It's a 7 p.m. game on Saturday. We have a 7 p.m. game on Saturday. College hoops, a massive slate of college hoops all day. The vibes at the State Farm Center, I expect to be as good as they were last night. So Illinois needs to bring it because I've had this game circled on the calendar for weeks because what happened at Michigan State is it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Kasparas by 9 minutes because the guys in stripes made the game about themselves. Illinois needs to win on Terrence Shannon Jr. Day on Saturday. I don't care how, just do it. Because these Michigan State fans online this year have been insufferable. They've been so insufferable. They've been more insufferable than all of us. Let me say that. Which is a new level of insufferable because I know there's reasons why people don't like us. And yes, at times we can be a bit insufferable. We can be a bit delusional. We can be a little bit too optimistic about our team, okay? It's just because we're passionate. That's really all it is. Now, there are some of us out there that I'm like, you need to shut up. But whenever that person gets humbled, they never learn. Then they come back. So, it is what it is. It's the life of the internet, right? Anyway, Michigan State on Saturday, it's must win. Must win. Now, in general, where is Illinois in the net? Where is Illinois in the net now? They were 12th yesterday. KenPom. Illinois is, in KenPom, Illinois is ranked 15th now. 30th on defensive efficiency, which is interesting, but 14th in offensive efficiency. That's like a big shift because I felt like their defensive efficiency was top 20 like a week ago, and their offensive efficiency was in the 30s. So it's a big shift here, right? I always forget. I'll just search it. Net rankings. All right. This is something that Brad Underwood always, he said this in multiple pressers, that he only pays attention to net rankings. Illinois is 12th in the net rankings. They are 7-7 in quad 1 games. They are 4-1 in quad 2 games, 6-0 in quad 4 games, and apparently they don't have a record against any quad 3 games. So, yeah, they're right there. They're right there in terms of, they are the only Big Ten team ahead of them is Purdue in the net rankings. So, they're in a really good spot right now in terms of their NCAA tournament potential here and getting a higher seed, especially after last night's win. I would say if they win, I would say this. If they go 3-1, including yesterday's win, you include the win against UCLA. If they go 3-1 over these 4 games, beat UCLA, then you have Michigan State, you have Wisconsin, and you have Duke. So if you win 2 of the next 3, I think they can get a top 4 seed. I think they can be a 4 seed. I think they can go to the Kohl Center and beat Wisconsin. Brad Underwood owns Greg Gard. They have won 12 in a row against Wisconsin. Michigan State, I feel good about it. On the other hand, Michigan State just hasn't played well lately. You can go through Michigan State's schedule and point out why they haven't been playing well. They should have they should have lost to Oregon the other day, but Oregon decided to shit their pants in the second half. Oregon was demolishing them for an entire half. They lost to USC as well, right? And then they just lost to Indiana. Like they're not playing well right now, right? So theoretically, I love Illinois against Michigan State on Saturday. And then Duke, it's kind of a toss-up. Like, I think they can hang around with Duke. I think they can absolutely beat Duke. It's not like Duke is playing a tough ACC. They just lost to Clemson last weekend. But Duke has a ton of talent, and they have the number 1 draft pick in next year's NBA draft on their team. It should be a fun game with Kasparas and Will Riley and Cooper Flagg on the same court at Madison Square Garden. Absolutely. Should be a fun one. I don't know if Illinois can win the game. I'm hoping that just in it, and it's a great NCAA tournament type vibe. And if they beat Duke, I'll be insufferable for probably 48 hours. But if they win 2 of the next 3, and those 2 are probably Michigan State and Wisconsin, I think they can get a top 4 seed coming off this win of UCLA. I think that there's a world where that can happen. So we'll see. There's still a lot more games to be played, but that's where I'm at right now. Win 2 of the next 3. I think there's really right now they're probably somewhere in that 5 or 6 seed range. I believe that's where they're kind of projected right now by some of the experts. So we'll see. But I like our chances on Saturday against Michigan State, and they've played well against Wisconsin for a while, and it'll be tough going to the Kohl Center, but this team has won big games on the road this year. So we'll see. And in Wisconsin, they don't defend. It's so weird. Wisconsin's done a big flip. They're actually good on offense, but they suck on defense now. They've always been a good defensive team until this year. So that'll be a good game. That'll be a fun one to watch, but I still like Illinois in that one. So that's kind of where my feelings are on NCAA tournament seeding right now. Stuff like that. Now, you want to dream a little bit? You want to dream a little bit? What about the Big Ten, Cody? What about the Big Ten standings? Illinois is 3 games back. Michigan beating Purdue last night. I bet Purdue last night. I just after what happened at Mackey Arena, I felt like Michigan was going to come out and play a better game, no doubt. But I couldn't trust Trey Donaldson and against this Purdue team, and they said hold my beer. I give them a lot of credit. So right now we got Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland ahead of Illinois. Now, Illinois has 6 losses in the Big Ten. Maryland, UCLA have 5. Wisconsin has 4. Michigan State and Purdue have 3 losses, and Michigan has 2. So it's very, very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely at this point. But hey, you never know. You never know. Some teams could just really fall apart. And at this point, that would have to be Michigan. I will say that it is surprising to me that of the teams ahead of Illinois, it's Wisconsin. I am surprised in that. I'm not surprised by the rest of them. So I guess the reason I bring this up is because I am interested in a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, right? And I think that's going to be tough considering the teams ahead of them. But we'll see. Maybe we'll look back on it at the end of the month. All right. So, look ahead of the schedule for the Big Ten. Yeah. Let's see here. I know Ohio State plays tonight. Who are they playing tonight? Okay. Iowa and Rutgers play tonight. Doesn't really mean too much. And then Washington and Ohio State play tonight as well. Doesn't really mean too much in terms of all the things I'm talking about. Thursday, Maryland and Nebraska. Nebraska at home could be huge. Could be huge. Maryland on the road hasn't been very good this year. And then Friday, UCLA and Indiana would like the Hoosiers to maybe continue this weird stretch that they're on where they're kind of playing good. Maybe it's ever since they announced Mike Woodson was going to step down. Maybe that's why they're playing better. I don't know. But on Saturday, obviously, Michigan State coming to Illinois, Wisconsin going to Purdue. Purdue looking to bounce back after last night. I like Purdue in that game. And Washington, Penn State, Minnesota, USC doesn't really mean too much for Illinois. Sunday, Michigan and Ohio State. Would like for an Ohio State upset in a rivalry game at home. That'd be nice. Let's see. You got Iowa going to Maryland. Maryland at home. Maryland's probably going to win that one. And then Rutgers at Oregon. So the standings can change a little bit here the rest of the week with some pivotal games going into the weekend. So be interesting to follow it all. But overall, guys, I'm feeling pretty good about Illinois right now. It's not perfect. It's not fixed. Things aren't all red. It's not all orange and blue roses right now, but I like where the team is headed. Maybe, just maybe, they have turned the corner. Maybe it took a little bit longer than I was hoping because I was asking them to turn the corner at Nebraska. I was asking them to turn the corner at Rutgers. But these last two wins, hell, 3 of their last 4 games, the win against Ohio State, you beat Minnesota in a game that you should own, which they did, and then winning last night against UCLA. Those are 3 really good wins and a nice start to changing the tides of the season. Because I think a lot of people were getting worried. There were some weirdos out there who thought the season was in jeopardy in terms of just making the NCAA tournament. Illini fans, man, we're all freaking crazy. That's all I can say. But yeah. So Saturday, I'm like, I've had this game circled on the calendar for so long that I'm thinking about going. I'm thinking about just biting the bullet and going. I am. But if not, we'll probably be here after the game. If not after the game, I'll be here Sunday. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments. If you were unable to catch this live, but I in general feel good about this team right now, and I like the way that Kasparas and Will Riley have kind of come together at the same time. They need both those guys to play well, and I feel like for most of the season it's been one or the other. And right now I think they're both playing well, and Tommy has just been that force down load that they need. Is it weird to say it's sort of like James Augustine in a way? I'm not trying to compare the two players. I'm just saying in terms of importance to the team. I think that is what I'm really trying to say here, right? So yeah, that's I in general I feel optimistic. I don't even want to say I'm cautiously optimistic now. I'm feeling optimistic. So let's just beat Michigan State on Saturday because I desperately need it. Before we get out of here, I do want to mention some Skyy Clark stuff. So yesterday's podcast that I did, I put up a clip on my YouTube and my TikTok account, kind of talking about the Skyy Clark saga and, kind of explaining why I feel like it's okay to boo Skyy Clark and why I think at the same time, I don't view him like a Hunter Dickinson or a Brad Davison or I don't know, any other name out there that has been insufferable to Illini fans. I don't think it's like that. But I felt like, you used to play here. You just left the team in the middle of the season. I don't really blame people for booing him. I felt like the discourse on Illini Twitter yesterday was interesting. I always find it so funny how everyone just loves to jump at Brad Everyone just loves to jump at Brad about everything, but no one wants to put any accountability on players. And I'm not saying that Skyy Clark deserved to have some of the most awful things yelled at him. And the Orange Crush, they called him a traitor? Whatever. There's a reason the Orange Crush is viewed as one of the better student sections in college basketball, man. Who cares? Let them chant whatever they want to chant. Let them chant whatever they want to chant. I don't care. The reason that I talk about, whether it's accountability or whatever, Skyy Clark still left the team in the middle of the season, and no one really knows why. And all I know, what I know is that the guy left the team. It was shaped as a mental health thing or maybe a family thing. And then he announced his commitment to Louisville the moment Illinois lost to Arkansas. I just feel like that could have been done differently, man. I just feel like that could have been done differently. And based off what I know and what we in the public know, I don't blame anyone for booing him yesterday. Shit. I'm not saying that he's a terrible person. I'm not saying that I view him as like one of the more villains that Illinois has had to go up against over time. It's not like Skyy Clark is coming out and saying things that Hunter Dickinson has said on different podcasts about Illinois fans. But at the same time, the guy did what he did, and it just makes you scratch your head a little bit about how much he truly cared about coming to Illinois and trying to build something, right? Let's not forget, he was a 5-star recruit. So now on Illini Twitter, I read some things. Some people said that the reason he left had a lot to do with his family. Okay. But I just wish that there was more clarity about what's going on there. And the people I'm talking about, I'm talking about guys from the Illini guys, and people who are more in the know, I guess. It's just very frustrating as someone on the outside of so what happened? Can we at least get a better answer? And the reason that it bothers me so much is because Illinois shaped it as they really did kind of shape it as a mental health thing. And no one wants to take that shit seriously when what Skyy Clark did happens. The next time that someone leaves a team because anxiety or some sort of mental health thing and no one takes it seriously again, I will remember this conversation that I'm having with myself right now with all of you. That's why it bothers me. So, whatever. I don't think it is something that we'll be talking about, his return to Illinois and how awful the fans were to him. Sure, there were a few videos put out there of Illini fans booing when he touched the ball or when he got announced as starting lineups. Whatever. It's definitely not the worst that we will see. I've seen worse, and the two I think of the worst are for sure Hunter Dickinson and Brad Davison. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Skyy Clark. And he also talked after the game, and he didn't really say anything. And I wish that he might have just it is basically he just didn't want to talk about it. And that's fine. He doesn't have to. But, he didn't have some great game either. And he didn't have a bad game, but I don't feel like he was a major impact in this game. So, to bring it all back around, to me, I'm moving on. It's not anything crazy. It's not anything that's super important. But I do think that context is important in a lot of these types of things. And I'm someone who takes mental health seriously. And the way that it was shaped as if it was something like that. And to see him commit to Louisville immediately after Illinois lost in the NCAA tournament last year bothers me. So that's just going to always be my opinion on it. To end the show, Kofi Cockburn returning to State Farm Center last night. Get the jersey, the jersey hung in the rafters. His, the ceremony at least. I listened to his interviews with the Illini media. before doing the show. And Kofi just seems like he's in a really good place, and I'm happy for him. He's playing in South Korea right now. I'm going to end these last 5 minutes with just like kind of a look back on just where this program has gone since he got here. And I need some coffee before I do that. Kofi Cockburn, I didn't really know what to expect from him when he came to Illinois. All I knew is that he was a very large specimen. He is a very large dude. And I've seen very large dudes come to Illinois and be absolutely atrocious. Mike Tisdale, Nana Egwu. The list goes on. And I'm nothing against those guys. They had their skill set, and those teams just weren't good. It wasn't all their faults, right? But I was when I look back on Kofi Cockburn's career at Illinois, he turned out to be way better than I ever expected. And it's like when we talk about Io and what he's done for the program and in terms of recruiting, in terms of relevance, he has a big part, and that is why he absolutely deserves that honor, the ceremony, to be acknowledged with some of the best Illini greats, to be up there not only with Io, but with D. Brown, Darren Williams, Kendall Gill. Absolutely. He deserves to be up there with those types of names. And that's why in the last show, I was kind of going off about all these other fans who kind of put themselves up on a pedestal. It's just like, I also learned that at UNC, they have the same standard. UNC has the same standard. North Carolina, that program, that program that's won multiple national titles in my life. So it's very funny how that happens, how that's a thing, right? But I was just happy to see him come back and him get his flowers that he was due. And I'll always look back on those teams with a really fond memory. I mean, it's kind of like a fond memory, but also like with an ending of just kind of a sadness, because the critics, the haters will always point out the Loyola game in the NCAA tournament. And he didn't have a good game that day. And he got owned by Cameron Krutwig, right? But they don't get there, and they're not that good without him. And he was a major part of that team's success, man. They were fun to watch. They brought my Illini fandom back to where it was when I was a kid. Because like in the 2010s, man, outside of a few Brandon Paul shots, Myers Leonard games, whatever, the Ravonte Rice shot against Mizzou, right? Like outside of a handful of games and just like some fun moments, like the 2010s were brutal, dude. They were brutal. That's why I always point out just like how lucky we are to be where we're at right now. And Kofi Cockburn is a big part of that. He's a big part of why this program is where it's at right now. It's a big part of why we have a lot of fond memories. It's why they won a Big Ten title the year after they lost that game to Loyola, right? So, again, wishing him all the best. Happy to hear he's able to buy his mom a house. He's probably never going to get to the NBA, and that's fine. But he's always going to have a place in Champaign, and who knows? Maybe we'll see him back in Champaign a lot more often whenever he retires. He is, to me, a Illini legend through and through, and will always appreciate what he did to bring in this program back, and that he had a massive part in that. So, all right, guys, we're about 50 minutes in, so I talked into the camera of my MacBook Air for 50 minutes. Only some of us can be that weird. I hope to be back on Saturday. Talking about this game, or not this game, the Michigan State game. It's a 7 p.m. game, so obviously late night potential post game. If not, Sunday morning or sometime Sunday. So if you're new here, if you stuck around for all 50 minutes, I appreciate you. Hit the like button for me. and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to the audio version, the links are in the YouTube description. And yeah, I'll see y'all on Saturday, hopefully. Beat Michigan State. I want to beat them so bad. I cannot emphasize how much I want these Michigan State fans to just suffer. Okay. All right. I appreciate y'all's support. I'll see y'all this weekend, hopefully. And as always, my friends, ILL.